Okay, we've got PQ as the diameter of a circle, centre, given that Q is, find the coordinates of P. Now, we've only so far done distance and midpoint. We're about to do slope, but imagine this was just a question in an assignment or a test, and you have to decide, are we doing distance, midpoint, slope? What are your skills that you can use to determine which formula you're going to use? You see this, what would be a great go-to just to get the ball rolling? You're not on my charade team. I'm drawing. Diagram and information, you know, well done, Dep. Yep. So if I was to draw this, yeah, a little bit of an egg there, but that's okay. Right, we've got PQ as the diameter of a circle. I'm not really going to care too much about, or actually I might. So PQ is diameter, circle with a centre. So we've got the centre here is 3 minus a half. Are we happy with that? And then we've got Q is minus 1, 2. So minus 1 would have to be to the left and up. Are we happy with that? That's Q. And so P, we don't know, and that's X, Y. Agreed? And you now have to find that. So you're going to use distance or you're going to use midpoint? Midpoint. Centre, aka midpoint. So what's a good mathematician going to do? Write the formula. That's right. So we're going to write our formula. x1 plus x2. The bonus of that is that as you keep going, you won't have to keep looking up the formula. Probably some of you already don't have to look it up. You just know it. Fantastic. Then what are we going to do? Sub. So we should all be saying that, not just one of us, okay? Sub, this is your midpoint here, the centre midpoint, in between, directly in between 2 points. I don't know, different words that they can use. So we've got 3 minus a half equals, now how do we get our midpoint here? X plus minus 1 over 2. If Mackenzie wanted to say minus 1 plus X over 2, that's okay. It's all the same, right? I just like to start with my unknown. So it's going to be X plus minus 1. So not to confuse myself, I'm not going to write plus minus 1. I know that's just minus 1 over 2. And then Y plus 2 over 2. Good to go? We know, and we're reading this, that this is a coordinate on the left equals the coordinate on the right, and the only thing that we can now have is that this must equal your x coordinate here. They have to be the same. And of course, this minus a half must equal that y coordinate there. Agreed? So we end up with, and I'm not going to write it all, I'm just going to do the x because I think you can probably finish. Actually, no, I'll do the y just in case because it's a fraction. Right, we want to solve that. So how do I get rid of the divide by 2? Times 2. You can probably just guess now. Something take 1 equals 6. It's got to be 7. We might as well finish off while we're about it. I've got minus a half equals y plus 2 over 2. What are we going to do here? You could multiply, right? However, can you notice we've got the same denominator? So, yeah, we can ignore them. So, therefore, we have to say, therefore, minus 1 equals y plus 2, and then solve. If that wasn't minus a half, let's imagine it was minus, I don't know, let's go minus 1/7 equals y plus 2 over 2. You've got options. You could cross multiply. You could get rid of the divide by 2 just by timesing by 2. Because you've got a fraction button on your calculator. How do you get rid of the plus 2? Minus 2. So once you've got that initial formula substitution, it's just algebra stuff that you have to mess with. Is that okay? So again, we're skipping through and we're remembering, you guys told me this in class last time, that slope is rise over run. We know when it's positive, it slopes that way, so it's increasing. Remind me, a horizontal line has what slope? 0, because there's no rise, that's right. And a vertical line? Undefined. Awesome. Awesome. So that's like picking it out, and can you describe which one? We're not gonna do that. We're diving straight into this exercise. Question 2 is all about, oh, I think I need to go back and change. Anyway, question 2 is all about just sub. If you want to practice the sub, you can. Should we do one or not? We'll just do one. You can just read it. Again, over here, we've got our points. So, same question. Just flicked it. Sorry for video people. So you got 2 points, and we just have to slap it in. Now, I have also been known to be a little bit wonky with this one, is that sometimes you're talking, and I put the X's upstairs because we always go X first. So just be aware with your slope, it's Y upstairs, rise. Y2 take Y1 over X2 take X1. Beautiful, they get 2. Now, notice they went 4 take 2. What if I went -2 take 4? So on the top line, I get -6 instead of +6. Is this just going to be wrong? No, as long as I'm consistent. So 2 take 4 and then 3 take 6 is -3, negative and a negative cancel, and I get 2. So as long as you're consistent, if you start from this one, then you have to start from that to go left to right. Does that make sense? If you went -2 take 4, but then you said, oh, while I'm here, I'm going to go 6 take 3, what you're going to end up with is -2, definitely the wrong way that it's sloping. So don't do that. Make sure you're consistent. All good? All right, so now let's do a question where we are missing one of the bits of information, because I think you're all good at substituting, correct? Great. Start by reading the question. Find T given that the line segment joined in a gradient. There's our key word. So as soon as we see that, we write our formula. M equals, we going Y2 or Y1? Okay. Y2 take Y1. Seriously have to concentrate. Okay, then we sub. Our slope is 2/3. And we're going to go Y1 take Y2. Now, I like to have my unknown first. So I will say T take -2. So take becomes plus all over. Has to be, because I started here, T, then it has to be 9 take 5. Am I allowed to put 4, or do I have to write 9 take 5? May I put 4? Thank you. You're so sweet to me. And now it's the alge. So what shall we do? Yep, so if you want to cross multiply, you can. I could just say, let's get rid of this divide by 4 by timesing by 4. So that becomes 8 over 3 equals T plus 2. How do I get rid of the plus 2? Take 2, so it's 8/3. Take 2, and away you go. If you don't have a calculator handy because you go, I'm not that great with fractions, although we should be. How can you do that without a calculator to make life easy for yourself? What would you do? I would write the 2. That would be 8. You could write, yeah, -2. I should go that way. I go, that's going to be 6 over 3. 6 divided by 3 is 2. And so 8 take 2, you get 2/3. If you wanted to, you could, at this point, you could cross multiply. So you could say 2 times 4 is 8. And 3 times that, you get 3t plus 6. And then solve from there. 8 take 6 is 2. Get rid of the times 3, divide, and you get 2/3. I don't care which way you rock and roll, as long as you end up with the same answer and you're doing correct algebra. Is that okay, guys? This coordinate is missing. So what happens if I have 4/5? When you sub it in, you end up with, I don't know, 7 over x plus 1. What will you do now? Come on, everyone. We are year 10s. You did this right at the start of the year. This first topic you did. Cross multiply. Absolutely. Right? So 4 times x plus 1, 5 times 7 is 35. And now we get to solve. So either expand the brackets or divide by 4. It's up to you. I would probably expand my brackets. So 4x plus 4 equals 35. 4x equals 31. Therefore, x is 31 on 4. Correct? But it all starts from substituting in. And the last thing I want to leave you with, and this should be on your formula page, is perpendicular slope. We talked a little bit about it, not quite sure how much, maybe it's already on there. But if I have two lines and at right angles, they're perpendicular. Let's say this slope here, what shall we make that? We'll make that 5 over 2, so it's increasing and it's pretty steep, yeah? The perpendicular slope, probably haven't drawn that really well. Imagine if I had one like this, pretty steep. The perpendicular slope is going to be not so steep, agreed? And vice versa. So would it come as any surprise to you that my perpendicular slope, we flip, so it becomes 2 over 5, so flip it, and minus because it is now decreasing. Yeah? So the general statement is if I've got my slope here, and here's my perpendicular slope. So if the slope is A over B, the perpendicular slope will be minus A on B. So we've got this situation. We've got 5 over 2. The perpendicular slope we said is minus 2 over 5. What if I had minus 6 over 11? What would be my perpendicular slope? Right, 11 over 6. All positive. It's not like it's just the minus and we switch. It's the whole thing is negative. So now the perpendicular slope, the whole thing is positive. What if I had 4? What would be my perpendicular slope? Not negative 4, no. Not 1, yes, negative 1 over 4, because technically that is over 1. Agreed? And a bit of a check is that if we multiplied each of these together, what answer do we get? Not 0. Have a look. What is 5 over 2 times negative 2 over 5? Like I'm just asking you to work that out. Not 1. The 5's cancel, the 2's cancel. Negative 1. So you know that two slopes are perpendicular if you times them together and you get negative 1, or if you flip one. Technical term, the negative reciprocal. Wow. The negative reciprocal. Great word. So that's going to come to your next exercise. So if I could ask you to hit your OneNote, go through the questions, right? Most of you, I would have thought, try and finish that, but that's okay. I've asked you to do 3 and 4 of the slope. Then you're going through and you're doing some short, sharp little stuff where you just, find the gradient of all lines perpendicular to. What's the perpendicular to this? Negative 2 over 1. Negative 5 over 2. So if you do that in your head, I don't need you to write it down, as long as you can understand. We good? You notice stuff comes up here. We're talking about gradients. We're talking about midpoints. We're talking about showing if a triangle is isosceles or not, so distance. So this exercise pulls it all together. Capiche? That's me over and out. You get stuck, call me over, and I'll assist where I can. Love you. Goodbye.